Shalom Aleichem and a happy Hanukkah. Mishnah Yomi is in chapter 13 of Yevamot about marriages that are not really fully biblically recognized, and comparing what happens in Yibam situations with those. We are on Mishnah 8, Mishnah Het. Misha haya nasui l'shtei Yevamot kitanot. He married two girls who were less than bat mitzvah. Again, it's a rabbinical marriage, and as we mentioned, it was really for the protection of Jewish girls, or in situations where there were no reasonable option to protect them and provide for them. Yevamot, and unfortunately, this man passes away and leaves these two young widows, God forbid. Biata ochelotza shelachat mehen poteret sarata. When her brother performs chalitza or yibum, or marries in yibum, one of these widows, the other one can go out and marry anyone. After all, they're both married to the original deceased husband on a rabbinical level. V'chein, and also this applies, shtei chershot. If the two wives were deaf mutes, even if they're above bat mitzvah age, but being both deaf and mute, they lack some of the intellectual development that a normal person has. So again, their bond of marriage to the original husband is rabbinic in nature, though it is different, we're going to see, from that of a katana. What about katana v'chareshet? One was young and one was older but deaf mute. Ein biat achad mehen poteret sarata. So marrying one of these girls in Yibum does not release the other widow. She would need to get a chalitza. The Gemara there explains that the reasoning is we don't know which wife the original husband preferred. The chareshet, because she's physically grown up, but even though she can't communicate very much, or the katana, even though she's not grown up, but she will in the future be able to communicate with him normally. So we're not sure which is sort of the main wife, and they're both rabbinical, so they both need something, yibum or chalitza. What about pikahat? That's a normal, healthy, able to communicate woman, v'chareshet, and one who's a deaf mute. Biat hak pikachat poteret et chareshet. A yibum and also a chalitza to the normal woman will release the chareshet, the deaf mute woman, to be able to remarry anyone, because she's biblically married to the deceased husband, the original husband. The ain biat chareshet, but a yibum done to the deaf mute widow, poteret et pikachat. That does not work to release the pikachat. The normal woman would need a chalitza as well. Gedola ketana. One was older and one was younger under bat mitzvah. Biat gedola poteret ketana. So too, that's a biblical marriage. So a yibum done to the older woman, the over bat mitzvah, will release the younger one to remarry anyone. Ein biat ketana poteret et gedola, but not vice versa. Now, this Mishnah was all sort of the normal case, if we can call it normal, but Mishnah Tet is going to get into when people make a mistake. They didn't ask the rabbi what to do, and they're trying to cover all their bases, but they're really making an error here. Misha hayanasu l'shtei yatomot katanot. The original husband was married to two underage orphan girls, a rabbinic marriage, met, and he passed away without children. Ba Yevamot rishona. His surviving brother marries in Yibum the first widow. And then he doesn't know, since it's rabbinic, if that worked for the mitzvah. So he tries to marry the second widow in Yibum also. Or another one of the surviving brothers marries in Yibum the second widow. Now, of course, when there's two surviving widows, we never normally marry both of them. That's not how Yibum works. Only one of them needs a Yibum or chalitza. But that's in a normal case. Here we paskin lo pasul at the rishona. The actions of the second brother, or the first surviving brother's second action with the second widow, does not ruin his yibum marriage to the first widow. Now, the reasoning for this is, since it's a rabbinical marriage to begin with, then when they're performing yibum, there's a suffix, there's a doubt. It could be their kone a kinyan gumor, it's a real acquisition, it's a real marriage when the surviving brother marries her in yibum, or it could be it's really nothing until she's older and grows up. So when the first yibum to the first widow took place, either that did everything, and now the second act is meaningless, or it did nothing, and the second act is also nothing. So when they grow up, they can go ahead and marry her again for real in yibum, and it will be a mitzvah. The Mishnah adds, v'chen shtei chershot, also if the two widows were deaf and mute. Now the Mishnah asks, what about katana v'chareshet? One was underage and one was deaf mute. So both of them are rabbinic level marriages, but they're a little bit different, as we're about to see. Ba Yavam al Katana, so the brother marries in Yibum the young widow, v'chazer ba l'chareshet. He doesn't know if that works, so he goes ahead and tries to marry also the older but deaf mute widow. Oshaba achiv al chareshet, or one of the other surviving brothers does so. Lo pasola to Katana. This does not ruin the first Yibum marriage with the Katana. But the Mishnah compares, Ba Yavam al chareshet. if he tries to first perform Yibum with the deaf-mute widow, v'chazor bal katana, and then to cover his bases, he tries to do the same with the younger widow, or one of the other surviving brothers tries to do so, Pesol et Chereshet. So this eliminates his chance to continue the Yibum marriage with the deaf-mute widow. Now the Gemara explains, even though both of these were rabbinic marriages to the original husband, we have a suffix for a katana, for the minor, the young woman. Either that marriage was a valid marriage, a real kinyan, even though it's a rabbinic kinyan, or it was nothing. But by the marriage, it's also a rabbinic marriage, but the marriage to the Chereshet, we say it is definitely a kinyan, but it's leaving something over. It's mishayir. It's not complete because her das, her intellectual development, is incomplete. But she's grown up, she's over bat mitzvah, so if she had been able to communicate, maybe she would express that she was, fully committed to this marriage. It's just a lack of communication. So it's really a kinyan, it's just missing something. So therefore, when the first Yavam tries to marry the Chereshet, the deaf-mute, it works to some extent. So then if he tries to do the same to the Ketana, well, he's already a bit married to the Chereshet, and now possibly he's making a kinyan to the Ketana also, or maybe not, we're not sure. So because of that, he can't continue the original Yibum relationship with the Chereshet, can't continue the mitzvah, he would have to give her a get, he would have to do a chalitza, and he couldn't marry in Yibum either of these widows. Yashar Koach, Chanukah Sameach.